There's a quote that I read in a book somewhere. I forget who exactly said this, but the quote basically said, being ugly is a choice. The only ugly girls are lazy girls. And that can seem like a really harsh truth. And like I said in the introduction video, these modules are going to be very direct, no fluff, and exactly what you need to become the favorite version of yourself. Because I think sometimes we want to play it small about things so that we don't disappoint ourselves, so we don't disappoint others. We set low goals for ourselves. And the purpose of this specific class is to inspire you to reach higher, to fulfill the potential that you know you're meant to fulfill, and to truly become your actual favorite version of yourself. So that is what this course is about. So the reason that we are starting with physical appearance is because that is the first thing that people notice about us. We are more likely to notice someone who is attractive and notice that about them than someone who is more average looking. There are a lot of different aspects that come into our physical appearance. So we're going to dive into each of them. Our hair, our makeup, skin, our bodies, the way we carry ourselves, our posture, which involves exercise and movement, and the way we dress. And I think that is it for now. So there was, just to emphasize how important our physical appearance is, there are a few different studies like this, but there was a study done where they would have a very attractive woman and then kind of like more an average looking woman carrying a heavy suitcase upstairs. And I think the study said that on average, they conducted the study multiple times, on average, it took the beautiful looking woman on an average of 8 seconds before she was helped by someone, and 45 seconds for the average looking woman to be helped by someone. So just societally, we have it ingrained in our brains that we want to be associated with attractive people. We want to help attractive people. Wanting to be attractive is not a vain or shallow thing to desire. I think that every woman should care about what she looks like. I think every man should care about what he looks like. Not because you're trying to impress anyone or because you are doing it for external reasons, but because when you care about your appearance, it is truly can be fun. You're able to truly express yourself. I think the way that we dress and the way we carry ourselves are very great ways to express ourselves. And it really does build self-esteem, because when you carry yourself in a way that suits you and you feel attractive, truly attractive in, you start to get noticed by more people, you get hired easier, you get higher salaries. There's no real downside to becoming more attractive. There's always the case of like more people hit on you and you might get more attention, but a true classy woman is able to handle that attention despite how attractive she is. So let's get into the first part of this. We'll just cover hair, skin, nails, kind of those cosmetic things. So when it comes to your hair, I recommend getting some sort of color analysis done. I have a few modules and separate classes regarding your wardrobe about how you can use ChatGPT in order to find your season. This is free and it works pretty well. So I recommend going over into the wardrobe module and watching that class later if you're interested in learning how to do that. But learning what color hair suits you is a great place to start. Finding a hairstyle that is easy to style and really flatters your face. There are different hairstyles, I think, that flatter different shapes of faces better. And so you can find like a quick diagram on Pinterest or something. I might have one linked down below, actually, this module, if you want to look at that. But those are just very simple. You want to have clean hair. I grew up reading French, like How to Be Parisian, those kind of books. And I've been heavily influenced to not style my hair because those books always talk about how French women don't do that. And so just personally, I don't really do a lot of styling to my hair, but you can see I try not to keep it frizzy. If it is really frizzy or greasy, I'll put it up into a ponytail or a French braid. So hair just really plays a huge part into our overall look. And I encourage you to experiment with a few different hairstyles that you want to try on yourself. Maybe go short. That might be a bold move, but really just finding a hairstyle that suits you and a hair color that suits you. I don't think that it needs to be this perfectly coiffed, curled, hair in order to be well presented. Regarding skin, I strongly advocate for less is more. Personally, I've never had any acne breakouts. So what I use on my skin is I use a tretinoin from Agency and a hydroquinone cream also from Agency. These are to help with dark spots because I have a lot of sun damage from my days in the sun. And I use heavy moisturizers, and then I have an AHA BHA toner that I use during the day, and then the tretinoin at night. That is what I use. I keep it very simple. I have found that keeping a simple skincare routine is great, and I just want to enforce that the skincare industry is highly priced. What is the word for that, right? I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the prices are extremely high, and you can find great skincare that does not cost an arm and a leg. So just skincare, keep it simple. And I do recommend using some sort of medical grade product because those do tend to work better. They are expensive, but you can find really great ones that aren't, like $500 for a skin cream. Nails. I don't think there's anything wrong with long nails, but I think that there is more association with having some sort of class when your nails are short. If you're gonna have, I like having almond nails, and I don't really make them, I don't know if you can really see this, I don't get them much longer than this, like maybe a little pointier up here. I just like the type, I don't like the clackiness. So keeping your nails short and clean, keeping your cuticles clean using some sort of cuticle butter. You can also use just castor oil or jojoba oil. You don't need to get a whole separate cuticle butter to keep your nails moisturized. I also advocate for having fun with your colors, having fun with your designs. That being said, it is more like stereotypically classy and elegant to have just a single color, usually like a red or a brown or a nude color, but I'm not going to tell you what color nail polish to wear. And then regarding makeup, also with the color analysis, you should ask ChatGPT what kind of makeup you should be wearing, what colors. For example, I have a neutral tone undertone, but I really do lean towards having more of a cool undertone. And this is just from me looking in the mirror and seeing, okay, if I wear a brown, if I wear like a warm bronzer or a warm lipstick color, it doesn't really enhance my features very much, versus if I wear like a cool tone red or a cool tone blush, my features seem to pop more. And so using the right colors on your face is just super important. The other thing is that I don't think that if you have good skin regarding not having a ton of acne or a ton of dark spots, I don't think that you need to use a full cover foundation. I have dark spots. I'm not sure if you can definitely see on here. I have dark spots, I have freckles, and I will sometimes use a concealer to just cover up my little sun mustache that I have and any sort of like tiny blemishes that I have. I think the most beautiful skin is natural skin. And I think that it's best to not cover your face in full face of foundation. That being said, makeup is also a great way to express yourself. So that advice is more so for people who are curious about like where to start with makeup or not sure what makeup to wear. If you are creative with your makeup and you see makeup as an art form, then by all means do whatever you want with your makeup because you likely know more than I do about makeup. But the stereotypical kind of classy and really well-presented face has very minimal makeup and uses the right foundation shade, uses the right contour shade, uses the right concealer shade, has very naturally fluffy eyebrows with like a clear gel and just filling in little gaps if you want to. And I think having like a good blush and a good mascara, those are kind of like the key components. I like to keep my makeup very simple. Wardrobe is your way of expressing yourself. Curating your personal style truly does take time, and I strongly advocate for hiring a personal shopper to help you find the right pieces for your wardrobe. Alison Bornstein is one that I have been following for a long time and one that I intend on hiring quite soon. But I've always been fashion inclined, I just have had a hard time curating what my personal style looks like because I'm inspired by so many different people. Like there's one minute I want to look very like well put together and very modest and well tailored, and the next I want to look a little bit sexier and a little bit more like effortless. So it's taken me quite a while to kind of curate my personal style, and it is truly trial and error. And hiring a personal shopper is kind of like a shortcut to all of that trial and error because you're able to express how you feel. They are experts in this. They know way more brands than you do that are within your price range. And they're able to give you suggestions that you might otherwise not think of. I also, like I said before, go watch that module in the wardrobe section, in the wardrobe module, that class on how to use ChatGPT to find your personal season, your season color palette. So there's summer, fall, winter, and spring, and depending on your coloring and your contrast, there is a certain color palette that will look best on you. There are certain colors also that will completely wash you out, and it is just crazy the difference that you will find in the brightness of your skin, the whiteness of your teeth, the whiteness of your eyes, even how clear your eyes look when you wear colors that suit your skin tone and your undertone. So I recommend also scrolling on Pinterest and taking some pieces with you that you want. So like, for example, when I go shopping, I will bring like this, I have this black denim skirt that I wear that I want to have more tops to go with. So when I go out shopping, I might wear like something that's easier to throw on, like a looser skirt, or I don't know, just like a pair of shorts or something. But I'll bring that maxi skirt with me when I'm shopping and to pair it with tops, because I know I shop very intentionally, and I do not like buying things that I will not wear multiple times. So I'll bring that skirt with me so that I know if a top goes with that skirt or not, which is just kind of like a little funny thing that I do, but it helps so much. So that is wardrobe. Other things that go into your wardrobe are finding silhouettes that suit you. For example, there are different body types, and I forget, there's like the romantic. I'll have a link to an article about it down below. I'll probably create a class about it in the wardrobe section as well. That'll be coming soon. But everyone has a different kind of body type, and I have a very naturally athletic body type. So I just know that I feel better when I'm wearing clothes that flatter my body, because it's what makes me feel more comfortable. It's what makes me like seeing photos of myself, because when I wear clothes that don't suit me, I don't like seeing the photos of myself, because I just simply do not look my best, and I like looking my best. So I have broad shoulders, I have very narrow hips, so I'll wear deep V's, I'll wear off the shoulder tops. For some reason that doesn't accentuate my shoulders, or at least I don't feel like it does. Don't wear really tight skirts, like bandage skirts or anything like that. I'll wear something with a little bit more of like an A-line flare. So shopping, everyone has a different body type, and I do advocate for wearing clothes that suit your body, because it just looks better all around, and it is likely to make you feel much more confident. Okay, now let's get into the way we move, our posture, and exercise, because the way that we move about as women can really impact the way that people see us. A little story around this. Marilyn Monroe was with some reporters in, I think, like Grand Central Station in New York. And she wanted to show the reporters how easy it was that she could switch from being Norma Jean Baker, which is her real name, to Marilyn Monroe, this absolute like drop-dead femme fatale superstar that she was. And so she would walk through Grand Central Station and kind of keep her head down, keep her posture, hunched a little bit, and be very simple. And no one noticed her. Then she switched it on, she pulled her shoulders back, she strutted through Grand Central Station, and immediately people began flocking to her as they recognized her. The way that we carry ourselves is so important and speaks almost before what we actually look like, because out of the corner of my eye, I will notice someone who carries himself well and then go to see what they look like before I will notice someone beautiful in general. There is so much power in the way that we carry ourselves. I'm sure that you've heard about if you stand like Superwoman for like a minute or 5 minutes, you instantly feel more confident. This just goes to show the way that we carry ourselves is so important. And if you want to become your favorite version of yourself, this is just a key component. So some key things when, let's say for posture, you always want to keep it's like the center of your back that is engaged. So it's kind of like the wings, like where your wings would be or your shoulder blades. That is what you want to keep engaged, and keep your shoulders relaxed. Like if you're walking around, I'm not sure if you can see, if you're walking around like this looks a little bit weird. You want to keep it's like squeezing a pencil between your back, but not with your arms, like without moving your arms. So keeping your lats and your shoulder blades engaged. You want to keep your core tight and your pelvis tucked. So that is just proper form, and it keeps your spine in line. If you're walking around with your back arched, with your butt sticking out, that can just lead to spinal issues. It's not the natural shape of our spine, and so we want to keep it in a kind of neutral position. So those are just like key things for posture. This also comes from like walking down the catwalk if I walk through like swim week or something. This is also like kind of model posture. So those are key components when it comes to posture. When you're walking, you want to keep your body in between your legs. So as your legs swing, you don't want to like cut your steps short where your body goes over your legs. You don't want to step too far where your body is leaning back. You want to keep your hips square between your legs when you're walking. So that is just very simple ways to look good when you're walking. The other thing is that when you're talking, you want to keep your hand movements simple. You don't want to be like, oh my gosh, did you look at that? Like you never want to point with your finger. If I ever point anything out to my boyfriend, I'm like, oh, look at that. I always point with my pinky, and I keep it very close to me. I'm like, oh, did you see that? I'm trying to think of other things. The reason that it is important to keep your hand movements minimal is if you've ever studied speech and debate, or if you have ever watched people speak or present on like a national stage or pretty much any stage in general, you'll notice they keep their hands here, they keep them in front of their stomach, and they make hand movements to really emphasize points that they're talking about. For example, when I said like emphasize, I moved my hands in this direction. It is a very obvious thing when someone is making overly large hand gestures that they're trying to compensate for something, and that they're not a very contained person. Containment is simply, it's not restrictive, it's not something that you have to like adhere to because it's this set of rules. It is a simple way to present yourself in a very mature, very classy way. So even you can't see it right now because the camera's high, but while I'm speaking, I'm keeping my hands here, and then as I'm saying something, I'll like move my hand in this way. I always notice when someone uses very simple hand gestures. I just think it's so beautiful when someone's not always fidgeting with their hands. Oh, that also segues me into, if you are ever standing somewhere, if you are waiting for a table at a restaurant, if you are waiting for your partner to finish talking to someone. I personally do not like to lean against things. I try not to. I am a huge fidgeter with my hands. I have been working on not fidgeting with my hands. I'll keep my hands by my side. I'll hold on to my purse, I'll hold my bag in front of me, but I stand very still. I'll stand with my legs crossed like this, or with one, I'll like pop one hip out. But I always am trying to be aware of how I'm posturing myself kind of in a way. And so I don't lean against things. I don't like slouch. I don't fidget with my hands. I stand there very poised, I guess, for lack of better words. And this again is something that so many people do not do. And so when you do this, people are probably going to say like, wow, you stood there so nicely, but they will notice it. And they'll likely be very inspired. They'll notice that something is different about the way that you are standing. Also, I don't try to play on my phone if I'm waiting for something, if I'm waiting for a table, if I'm waiting for a friend to come meet me. Unless I'm like actually working on something, I try not to use my phone as a filler. I think that we all use our phones as a filler to fill in this gap of time. And I can go into a whole rabbit trail about how we need more time to think and more idle time for our brains. And I think that when that time when we're waiting for something, waiting for a friend to come visit us, waiting for, I don't know, our partner goes to the bathroom and we're at the table by ourselves at dinner, we should not be using our phones in that time. If you don't use your phone while you're standing around, people will notice. It is also a great way for people to come up and approach you. I have been approached by so many people because I'm not preoccupied on my phone. If I see someone waiting and they're not on their phone, I always notice it, and I am always inspired by it. Okay, now physical movement and exercise. I have always weightlifted my whole life, and I really love weightlifting. The other thing that I do that is so important and I think is not spoken about enough is flexibility. They say that we are only as old as our spines are, and if your spine has no mobility, your hips have no mobility, then it's going to age you much quicker because the way that you move is going to look older because your joints aren't as lubricated, your joints aren't as flexible. So adopt a 5 to 10 minute stretching routine. I'm going to have one very soon in the health and fitness module class, so look out for that there. I have been stretching my whole life, and I notice if I take a week break and don't stretch, I notice a difference in how my hips feel when I'm sitting, when I'm walking, if I have to bend down to pick up something. Physical exercise also gives your body good muscle tone. I think it's so beautiful when it looks like someone is obviously taking care of their body. And I also notice when someone has clearly no muscle tone. So some exercises that I like doing are I weight train legs and then do Pilates and ballet movements for my arms. I naturally carry muscle very easily in my upper body, but I like, there's an Instagram fitness influencer named Coco. I'll have her linked down below. I love following along her workouts. The Sculpt Society is another great phone app workout that you can follow along with. She has a ton of classes that you can do that require very minimal equipment. And there's one more that I can't think off the top of my head, but I'll have it linked down below for you. It is so important to have some sort of muscle on your body and to be flexible. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you are not moving your body, exerting energy, and sustaining or building muscle on your body, then you are going to feel it much later on. It's easy now when we're in our 20s or 30s or maybe even our 40s. You might be feeling a little bit more if you're in your 30s, but your age will catch up to you very quickly if you are not taking care of your body. So that segues me into, lastly, our diet. Now, our diet reflects, sometimes even more so than our workouts, the health of our body. The foods that we eat can make our skin look radiant. How hydrated we are will affect the way that our skin looks. It will affect how many fine lines that we have. It'll even affect dark spots that we have. It'll affect our hair health, our nail health, the clarity of our eyes. If you take anything away from this, you have to stay hydrated. So the good way to think about this is you want to consume 65% of your body weight. I think it's in liters. So for example, I'm, let's say, 150 pounds. I want to be consuming around 85 liters of water. I think I said liters and I meant ounces. So if I'm 150 pounds, I need to drink 86, whatever that is, ounces of water. And it needs to increase by, I believe, ounces for how many, if you work out for an hour. So let's just, for easy ball numbers, say that I need to drink 100 ounces of water a day in order to stay hydrated. There is such thing as being too hydrated. It is so easy to become dehydrated, and we really want to avoid that because it starts to affect how well our organs work and then our skin appearance. Diet. There is a thing called the Blue Zone diet, which was the most common diet of the 5 longest living parts of the world. And this diet seemed to boil down to these having a high vegetable diet and low meat or mostly fish diet. There's a lot of controversy about meat or no meat. It has to do with your sympathetic or your parasympathetic system, how well you digest red meat. There's a lot of different factors. I am not a dietitian and I'm not going to tell you what food to eat. I will tell you to eat whole food. If you are eating chicken, eat free-range chicken. If you eat eggs, I think the best kind of eggs are free-range eggs. This means that the chicken has free range to go wherever they want. They are not locked inside of this disgusting pen piled on top of each other, sick with diseases. You don't want those kinds of eggs for obvious reasons. You do not want to be eating farm-raised salmon. They inject it with color in order to make it look more appetizing. You want to be eating wild-caught salmon. Beef, you want to be eating 100% grass-fed beef. There is beef that is advertised as being grass-fed, and it's actually grass-finished, which means the cow basically went its whole life eating wheat or corn, and then finished like the last 6 months of its life eating grass. You want 100% grass-fed beef, because that meat, the reason that this, I don't know if anyone knows this, but the reason that's important is because that means that the meat is going to be more nutritious. It means that the cow was getting all of the nutrition parts that it needed. Therefore, the meat is going to be a higher quality meat because it's going to do what you are actually buying it for the iron and everything that you buy red meat for. So those are why that is so important. It's just a higher quality meat that you're consuming. Something that is super interesting that I am looking into still, but that I read, is that in the Bible, after the flood, God granted Noah permission to eat animals, which was not, it was previously forbidden, I believe, if I'm getting my biblical history correct. But there was kind of like God, my brain's not working right now. There's like a caveat to that rule where he had to eat animals that had died of natural causes. So you couldn't kill an animal to eat it. And if we think about it, that makes so much sense, because if we were to only eat animals that had died of natural causes, naturally our meat consumption would be extremely limited. And there are studies that show that our bodies don't digest meat as well as they do, let's say, fish or something that's a little bit easier to digest other than meat. And so I think that is a great example of somewhat proof, that we really should be limiting our meat intake. Again, I am 100% an omnivore. I love steak. It's probably one of my most eaten foods. And so this is kind of a hard one for me to follow, but I have noticed a difference when I do limit my meat intake, how well my stomach feels, the bloating that I have, and all of the other things that come when your body doesn't digest food well, which is, I just think that's a super interesting thing. Biblically, I had never really heard that regarding us being able to eat meat. So I think that's super, super interesting. And so lastly, to summarize this, as you are becoming your favorite version of yourself, you should care about what you look like. You should care about the way that you move, how well you take care of your body, the food that you consume, your physical appearance, how good you smell even. That's something that I didn't really touch on, but you should find a perfume that you love, that really suits you, and a body lotion that complements it well. All of these things play such a huge part into how people perceive you. Because, like I said, the way that people perceive you really, it's just a natural human thing. It really indicates how much how well, I guess, they will respond to you, how eager they are to help you. Of course, I wish that there was a world where it didn't matter. But like I said at the beginning of this video, the only ugly girls are lazy girls. And if you feel like you have not been blessed genetically, remember that there is an inner glow that matters, which we're going to talk about later. There's a whole separate class about that. But we are really starting with the part that people notice first, which is our physical appearance. And it is such a quick and easy way to immediately start getting people to acknowledge you more and to feel more confident about yourself. Because when you feel more confident about yourself, you are more likely to take risks and ask for the things that you want. But that all being said, and this is where the rest of the classes come in, is that you can be the most drop-dead beautiful woman on the earth, but if you lack mental substance, you are a mean person, you lack empathy, and you are not dedicated to your personal growth, then you are going to be passed by so quickly. People will notice you, find out that you have nothing to offer besides what you look like, and they will move on. It is so important that you watch the rest of these classes, because beauty matters, but inner beauty matters even more. That inner radiance will shine more than what you look like physically. A man, even me, a woman, I am more likely to want to be around a woman who might not be the most beautiful woman in the world, but cares about what she looks like and is the kind, empathetic, adventurous, fun, joyful person than the most beautiful woman in the world who I can't even hold a conversation with. So hopefully that was helpful for you. You might have learned something, and I will see you in the next few classes.